Welcome back to Nubeva's channel, everybody. We're, of course, sitting here once again with Randy, and today we wanted to talk topical updates on the world and how they reflect on Nubeva and ransomware problems as a whole throughout the world. Well, Randy, first and foremost, the thing on top of everybody's mind, the thing that's going on big time right now is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's an incredibly sad thing going on, and there's multifacets to it. There's the actual invasion, and there's been talks of ransomware being deployed and so on and so forth. And I was wondering, as the world gets more modern, would this ever leak and go further out than just the Ukraine, or what have you seen so far?
Yeah, so let me mention first regarding the war. It's exceptionally sad. It's one of those things that we're sitting in the United States and we're hoping and thinking this will never happen, and it actually happened, and it's just stunning. At the same time, it's fantastic to see how the rest of the world has united in sanctioning Russia. I think one of the observations that a lot of my friends and I had in discussing this is there's really not serious consequences that happened in 2014 when something similar happened, or when what happened in Chechnya or happened in Georgia. And so I think the world has changed. Even in the last 5 years, it's changed dramatically, right? To the point now that we're talking about, I'm a soccer fan. The Chelsea owner is Russian billionaire, and the fact that now he's being forced to sell the team and take proceeds to help Ukrainians in their aid, it's absolutely stunning to me. This is a situation where I don't recall too long ago, Putin was literally sitting in the owner's box watching a Champions League game with the Chelsea owner, and what making you wonder, from all the things that he had done in the past, how is it that he can literally sit in the middle of London and enjoy, sitting with a billionaire there and just having a good time. And the fact that the world now, not just the UK and London, but just the rest of the world saying that's no longer okay, it's really inspiring. It's something that sarcastically we used to say, this will never get taken out, he's too rich for this to happen. And the fact that now he is affected is really, really great to see, actually, for the world coming around. Okay, now coming back to your question regarding to ransomware, we've actually seen a decrease in ransomware since the invasion started, which is really, again, very fascinating and very pleasant to see. Okay, so as I've seen published everywhere, everybody was expecting a massive jump in the amount of ransomware attacks, and there's a lot of theories as to it's actually decreasing. We're seeing some level. Remember, we're smaller, so from what we can see, there's not a jump. In fact, there's a decrease in ransomware attacks among enterprises. We do see a small jump on the local and state level, but certainly not at the federal level or anything to that effect. Now, specifically on the ransomwares out there, we did see, for example, Conti going out and saying that they're going to support Russia. And it's again fascinating to see that the rest of the world rally together and in the last few days hack Conti. Their Bitcoin addresses, their source code, their chats, their victims, their affiliates, in fact. I think the rest of the world has united so strongly together that the affiliates, a lot of the ransomware authors, they are not the people that go create damage. They will have essentially, amazingly similar to how we have MSSP partners and resellers and other people that help us sell a product. We don't sell directly. Conti actually doesn't act directly most of the time. Most of these larger families of ransomware don't act directly. They have affiliates that go execute on what they do. And from what we can tell, the affiliates are not mobilizing at all since this invasion. They're actually trying to say, wait, let me figure out what's going on. Do I really want to support this? Do I want to sound like I'm supporting this? Maybe we could just take some time off and come back and just chill out and come back. And so that's really refreshing. Will this expand out? What is going to happen? Are we going to suddenly see next month a huge jump in ransomware? It's just anybody's guess. I guess it's the same with the invasion. We're on day 7. What's going to happen next week? Who knows? Only Putin knows, right? So
yeah, good point. I mean, like it's really unfortunate to see things turn out this way, but I think you're correct. There I sense a little bit of positivity in the fact that the world did come together on it, and we're so interconnected now. Like the fact that we can tell Russia, like, you're out of SWIFT, the banking program, you can start crippling people's economies, as you had said. So hopefully this is resolved soon.
I hope it gets resolved quickly. Yes,
it's anybody's guess. But turning back to ransomware, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to dive back into it from something so serious, but
I know Go ahead.
Turning back to ransomware, talk to me about recent things. You had brought something to
Sure.
my attention about people diving into Hive, one of the more common ransomwares that's popping up right now and attacking businesses. Give me some insight on that.
Absolutely. So as we start expanding our business, at first people are stunned at how we can actually resolve this problem and fascinated by this new innovation. And then slowly, as people start deploying, especially at the local and state level governments, what they start questioning, the next question is, wait a minute, you're attacking the encryption, right? You're addressing something that's very different from everybody else. But what if the malware people go out and change encryption? What if tomorrow they did their own encryption, right? So early days with the largest enterprises, we got that question. Now, as we can start getting deployed more and more widely, and more people use us, more people start asking that question. And so what I mentioned previously was that it's very difficult to come up with your own encryption, right? So in the last 20 years, we actually have a count now of, just malware alone in the last 20 years, we have directly have access to 3 million
Wow.
malware. Okay. And there are days literally that have, 4,000 to 5,000 different versions of malware, or some days that are slower. Nowadays it's a little slower, probably 600 to 1,000. Okay. But the overall is increasing. Yet if you look at encryption, the total amount of truly used encryption today is about 2 of them. And there's about 10 families in the last 20 years. And that's about it. Right? There's always some obscure new research project encryption out there, but the reality is there's not a lot. So coming back to Hive, Hive is one of those folks that went out and actually decided they're going to create their own encryption. It's just fascinating. So I want to give credit to the researchers and some researchers in Korea, Gi-yoon Kim, Soren Kim, Sujin Kang, and Jong-sung Kim, 4 folks that actually went and did research. We didn't come up with this research. It is our belief, and this is one of the points that reassures our approach, which is Hive went out and decided Hive is one of the most common ransomware families out there. And they went out and created their own encryption method. Okay, they use asymmetric encryption, in fact, older ones called RSA, but they create a symmetric key that is about 10 megabytes and basically sort through it and use it over and over and over, as opposed to the more proven way, which is you take a random number, you take the asymmetric encryption, encrypt that, and using the random number in its original form to encrypt everything else. And so you rotate that across different files and you never repeat that. Right? So that's the standard way of doing it. They decided to do it differently. And these researchers went out and actually created a program that will actually decrypt ransomware Hive encrypted files without the keys.
Wow.
Right? So yeah, so this is we talked about this last time, right? So one just doesn't wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee and sit on their sofa and decide, oh, I'm going to have my own encryption. The stuff is hard. Right? You might come up with something that looks like it's encrypting, but proving it to be reliable and be reversible, right? The whole point of encryption is unless you have the keys, it shouldn't be reversible. Making it irreversible without key is no trivial task at all. So this is another proof point that independent other third-party people have been able to go out and say, hey, if you create your own encryption, you're probably in very shaky ground. Okay? At the beginning, when we looked into this idea, there were a couple of Brazilian ransomwares that were not doing encryption correctly, and we could provably show that, hey, you don't need the keys. In this particular case with Hive, we were actually able to get the keys that they were using, that they generated to encrypt. So our solution still worked. But even if our solution, let's say somebody creates an encryption in the future that we've never seen and our solution doesn't work, it's very doubtful that it would actually be reliably encrypting files.
Yeah, that's something you push this idea home pretty strongly. So it's interesting to see that, yeah, even for these people, as you said, they're like, okay, well, they're going to be a maverick about it, right? They're going to create their own encryption. They're going to go out and do so. The chances that they do so absolutely correctly to where they can't just decrypt it even without the keys is virtually nil. Like you said, there's been 10 in the past. How long again?
20, 30 years, 2 to 3 decades.
Wow. So
and
like
widely used today 2 encryption families. Right.
So a lot of these people are kind of dead in the water whenever they're trying to go on their own. So I guess it goes to show that not only is I guess Nubeva handling the key side of things, there's also other actors out there. As you said, these people here that were researching this, they found out they didn't even need the keys because this company decided to go out on their own and do their own thing, which turned out to not be beneficial for them in any way.
Exactly. And so the point about us is not only is our technology and innovation new and unique and simple, that works today, but this is another proof point that it's got legs.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that yours just worked anyways. Yours just worked out it anyways.
That's
despite them
also
using
plenty
it.
to know. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good note on it. But all right, Randy, thanks. Is there anything else you want to add about what's been going on lately?
No, that's about it. I hope the Ukrainian situation sorts out in one way or another soon. I think that's just seeing innocent people, civilians die the way it's happening. It's just horrendous.
Praying for the people in Ukraine. Hopefully this does get resolved as soon as possible. Randy, thank you for joining us here today. Thank you everyone for watching. If you guys have any comments, don't be afraid to shoot them over. For now, hope everybody has a wonderful evening.